darling. This is River Roaring, celebrating the luminous life force in us all. Hello, darling. I'm River Roaring, and this episode is Sovereignty and Soulful Anarchy with Bluebird. Bluebird is a writer, a philosopher, a small business owner, a speaker, and an all-around super cool goddess who lives here in Central Texas, and I'm so blessed to know. And when we get together, we just can hardly stop talking, especially when it comes to this topic of sovereignty, because I think Bluebird and I are very aligned on sovereignty, and at the same time, Bluebird brings really deep and really important stuff to the table that's way out of my league and over my head. So we have a lot to learn today. So Bluebird, how you doing today? You want to say hi to the audience?
I'm so excited to be here. So happy to talk about this topic with you, with a kindred person who feels the need for it, feels the hunger for it.
Hunger for the sovereignty today in today's world. Because we're talking right now, just to date this in case it gets onto the internet and goes into a time capsule. We're in June 2025.
Yeah.
What an insane time. What an insanely beautiful time. Yeah. And I think it seems like it's a time in the world where it's so easy, it is so easy to get misguided and to be distracted by all the distractions and noise. And it's also an opportunity to take a whole different path and stay peaceful, connected, calm, maybe even more centered in the middle of the chaos. As it gets more chaotic, more centered, more clear. And I think sovereignty has a lot to do with it. So
it does. And when you were saying that, it made me think of, like, we are living in this time where there's this illusion of more choice. Well, it's not necessarily an illusion. You have more choice than you've ever had. There's a sense, I think, that people feel sovereign because they can choose what type of cereal they want out of a zillion types of cereals or restaurants.
Good point.
And that it gives this false sense of sovereignty and through the illusion of having a lot of choice.
I love that you brought that up, and it reminds me of porn.
Oh, yeah.
Because people always talk to me like, well, I'm like, porn is so limited.
Oh.
And they're like, what do you mean? Everything's out there. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're shopping in a convenience store.
Wow.
But it's true. It's an illusion of sovereignty.
Yes.
And I think that this is off topic, but I just want to quickly say I think the dark side can only win through tricks.
Yes.
And so the trick is you're more sovereign if you use GPS to drive around.
Yes.
You're more sovereign if you go to the grocery and shop among 100 disgusting boxes of cereal.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what? Yeah. It's an illusion.
It's the idea that more is more.
Yes.
And,
thank you.
And being told continually, you live in the freest nation in the world, and you are the freest, person, especially as women now. We're freer now than we've ever been, and we take freedom and choice and lots of options, and then we go, oh, I'm sovereign, and we're not recognizing that we're complete slaves to a system.
Whoa, that's why I love you, girl. The way you talk, the way you say it. We talked about looking at sovereignty from the ground up, from the beginning of a lifespan as we go through to adulthood. And I know that I have seen you over many years speak about raising your children, and I've met them. I say I've not met all of them, but they are shining, radiant stars, and they're just stars in the universe. It could just feel the fact that they know who they are to a big extent, and that they're not intimidatable is how I feel when I see them and meet them, and so far. And I know that did you homeschool all of their?
Homeschooled. Well, I have 4. And I have 7 in my mix. I have 3 other ones that have been with me for 4 years, just about. I homeschooled and stayed at home and home birthed and had an unassisted water birth. So my sovereignty, like I think we could go into medical sovereignty, really.
Yeah.
Aside, recognizing that sovereignty in birth really does happen with the mother and the father's awareness of their sovereignty over how they give birth.
Tell us about everything. That. Where does it start? Where does sovereignty start? What is the beginning here?
Well, I feel that for myself, sovereignty specifically in pregnancy is huge, because the state very much wants to come in and treat pregnancy as if it's a medical condition, and then accuse you of neglect and medical, what's the word I'm looking for? Like irresponsibility or
malfeasance.
And it really does come in. So in pregnancy and in the immediate, for the newborn, for the baby, with child checkups every 6 months.
Which are vaccination
schedules and all of that. And I have 2 kids who've never been to a doctor ever in their life. One is 17 years old, outside of a devastating facial injury run in with a barbed wire fence. That was the ER. But and then my 13-year-old has never been to a doctor.
Wow.
For any type of child checkups or anything at all. When I was in labor with both of them, all my labors became increasingly more sovereign.
Okay.
So that was, do we want to go there?
Everywhere you want to go, girl.
So
like,
when I got pregnant with my first son, I was 28. I knew nothing. And I did exactly what the doctors told me.
Oh, I didn't even know that side of you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I went into labor on Labor Day of the year 2000. Not Labor Day.
Oh.
On Leap Day.
Too good.
Leap Day of the year 2000. What a cool day to have a baby on.
Totally.
February 29th of the year 2000 at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, I started contractions. I went to the hospital and the doctor told me, you don't want to have a baby today. It's going to be a pain in your neck. And he gave me medicine to slow down my labor.
What?
Okay. And then, so I went in, and then he came back, then he went home. And
after dinner date.
He was about 5. He went home, had dinner, came back at 6 a.m. the next morning and induced me into labor.
Oh,
so my son was born on March 1st, right? They kept me laying down the entire time. I never once got out of the bed. And I was just told left and right how this was going to go down. And I was extremely compliant. I did have a vaginal birth. But I did have a 3rd-degree tear. The doctor tore me. So they just kept me laid down and with his own hands gave me a 3rd-degree tear, episiotomy. And Vicente was born, and then Vicente was vaccinated on schedule. Then when I got to my second son, I started becoming more aware about my own sovereignty, medical shenanigans. I'm watching my son be sick all the time. Then Isaiah I had with a midwife in a hospital, completely natural, but in a hospital.
Yeah.
With my 3rd son, assisted a home birth with midwives, telling his father, kind of directing him, but a gaggle of midwives. And then
Beautiful.
With my 4th birth, I did not even go to a midwife until I was 36 weeks pregnant. And just did the whole pregnancy. By then, I'm like, we've been doing this for a long time, ladies. and I live in a modern city whereby if I were to need medical attention. In about 5 minutes, I could be in a hospital and receive it. And so I sought nothing. And at 36 weeks pregnant, at the request of Fernando, he wanted us to, just kind of have some sort of covering. We hired a midwife to just be on call, so to speak, and had an unassisted water birth.
Wow.
And
did the midwife come over or did not?
She came over. And it's, so a couple other really interesting things. When we start really pressing into our sovereignty is where we begin to be like more of a direct line with spirit and our intuition, because we're not depending on other experts to tell us what to do. So now I need to tune in and be able to trust my own knowings to know if I need to go do something or if I can handle that, all of that. So she came to the house. Well, she called me. I called her at about 6. I said, I'm in labor. And she said, I'll come back at 10. I said, she'll be here by 8:30. She was born at 8:36.
Oh my God,
okay.
That's awesome.
Did the exact same thing with my son before that. With the son before that, I was
Where
like...
you had the midwives at home.
I called, I said, I want my water to break at night. I want to go into labor around 10 a.m. I want to sleep, clean up some things, and then I want to have him at noon. Girl, my water broke at 10 p.m. I started labor in the morning, and he was born at 12:02.
Oh my God.
Noon.
Oh my God.
And so
sovereignty.
We
with
have
the universe.
With the universe. And so today we're talking about like a practical sovereignty. I think a lot of it is practical sovereignty, but there's a much deeper level of sovereignty that then taps into our psychic abilities. And our psychic intuition.
Yes.
And if we are not willing, like I think the path to that deep, deep sovereignty where we are not only taking authority over our bodies, but taking it authority in the sense that we are now able to say, okay, I am not going to get any sicker than I am right now. And I do this a lot. Like if I wake up with that sore throat and things like that, and I'll be like, okay, well, you're not allowed to go any further than this. This is going to be my hardest day.
You come into direct relationship with your body.
Yes.
And you start a dialogue with that body.
Yes.
And you start talking with it and you work with it and it listens.
It does. It does.
And that's so, we lose that when we just listen to everyone else. This is magic.
It is. And as soon as the doctors say, I had a woman come to me the other day. She was like, oh, I was told I have a fatty liver. And I was like, well, time out. Because she came to my shop. I have a herbal apothecary in Bastrop. And I was like, did you go to a doctor because you had, like, how did you find out this information? She said, I went to the school district. They have their health fair. And while she was at the health fair, they did their little thing and they told her she might have the pre-stages of a fatty liver. And I was like, okay, did you have any symptoms of a fatty liver at all? And she's like, no, I don't have any symptoms of a fatty liver. So you're being told you have a fatty liver. And so now you are paranoid and now you have a fatty liver. Yeah. And now you're going to die.
And now your sovereignty might claim your liver is a fatty liver.
Exactly.
And it actually might become a fatty liver.
Exactly. Regardless of the fact that you have zero symptoms of a fatty liver.
Before they told you what was inside your body.
Yeah. And so how much is this diagnosis just implanting, and we're not recognizing to a large degree the power of this machine that we are, the overarching machine that we're in.
Yes.
And
how
through
many
sovereignty.
people know? How many people really like go through childbirth that you just talked about, and just listen to everybody, and don't even notice.
They don't.
They don't even notice. Like, oh, I am not even checking their advice against my gut. Like they just said that it's not a good day for a baby, so I'll just live with that without thinking about it again. And I'll just do everything they say.
And I think pregnancy is a really good, because, it taps into your natural, it's something most women only do 1 or 2 times in their lifetime. right?
These days,
you know,
yeah,
I've had
sure.
4
Me, 0.
pregnancies,
Yeah.
and I can say from experience, every single time you're pregnant, it's like the first time you've ever been pregnant.
I'll bet.
And it's always like every time you have a newborn, you're sort of like, I have no idea what I'm doing, you know? And it's like this weird reset vacuum place where you don't know anything that's going on.
Interesting.
And I think it speaks to the vulnerability of a pregnant, just the whole process. And because of that, they tap into that vulnerability. And the worst, you know, you're going to lose, you know, you put your baby in danger. And they also, it's a virtue signaling of sorts. Where good mothers.
Yes. If you want to be a good mother, do everything the doctor says.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so it taps into a lot. And a lot of our parenting and a lot of our life where I bet we could tap into all the common places where people lose their sovereignty. And it would be presenting with a virtue signal of some sort.
Oh my God, totally. I don't know, is there any example of the outside world trying to tell us what to do that's bullshit that they don't try to make sound good? You know, they don't try to make it sound like it's for us and it'll be more convenient and comfortable.
And you're like, oh, well, you just need to give up your rights for other people. And that's where our sovereignty comes up against social expectation and social responsibility, which are 2 different things.
Yeah.
I mean, on some level, we do have social responsibility. I mean, you're going to be a good person in your community. But I think it's just such a slippery slope into manipulation.
I do too.
And the sovereign beings, the Grizzly Adams of the world, and are presented as almost toxically independent.
Yeah.
When I don't really think that they are necessarily that way.
Of course, the establishment has to paint anyone who actually tries to have their sovereignty as an outlier, a dangerous person, a scary person, uneducated conspiracy theorist, quote unquote
anti-science.
Right now, it's quote unquote far right.
Far right.
You know, anyone who's saying anything that's out of a box, like, oh, they're far right.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And you have to be anti-science if you are anti-expert.
Right. You don't believe the experts.
Yeah.
Oh, tisk.
You know, and even if the expert, maybe they are an expert and maybe they are right. But that doesn't mean that I still am responsible to do what I feel inclined to do. And it is okay for me to go against a correct expert.
Yep, that's right.
And because that's how I'm going to learn.
That's right.
And my lesson is more important than their lesson
compliance.
To me, than my compliance.
Let's go back to the baby. So what else, how does a child step into their own sovereignty now once they're, the mom is going to have so many sovereignty choices birthing?
I think that, so sovereignty of the mother is immediately under, I don't want to say attack, but it kind of is. I don't want to use that. I don't want to use victim-y sort of language, but
there are forces trying to control that process.
A lot.
Very tightly control it.
Very tightly control it, and why? I don't know why. And so when we step into birth sovereignty, I know that I battled being told I was being irresponsible. And I even had this recently where I was supporting other women to have unassisted home births. And I was told by a doula and a midwife, that is the most irresponsible thing that you can possibly do. And you're going to get people killed by doing that.
Yes.
And it's going to be, their blood is on your hands.
Yeah, let's just look at that. You were basically just called a murderer for assisting others in stepping into their sovereignty. An action that 4 billion years of us have been doing on our own without any experts at the house.
Yeah. And do babies die in childbirth?
Both in the hospital and elsewhere.
They do.
The answer is yes. Sometimes.
The answer is yes. Sometimes that happens.
Yep.
So that kind of gets back into that will loop us into a whole like how the fear of death and being is used to guide, so much, or the loss of so much of our sovereignty is like this worst possible thing that could happen would be that you died, which
That
come on, come now.
Is hilarious. It's
kind of like
the same people who talk about how glorious it will be also are like, but also no matter what happens, don't do
die.
it. No matter what. Like,
don't do
no
anything.
matter what. Doesn't matter how much money you have to spend or who else lives you have to wreck.
Or how long you have to be sick.
Or how long you have to suffer like shit and just sit there for 20 more years.
As long as you're alive.
In pain.
But you're alive.
I know, because you're just definitely, it's good that you're not letting yourself have the most healing experience of your soul.
Exactly.
The most healing experience your soul will ever have.
Yeah.
But
this
so
gets
hilarious.
me to like a core tenet of before you even step into your sovereignty, I think you have to make peace with death.
That's a beautiful one. That's beautiful.
On a lot of levels.
My life changed a lot when I found that place.
Yeah. And you're making peace with physical death. Like you're saying, okay, I'm choosing, and we've talked about this before. If something happens and I'm in like some sort of stage 4, I'm not going to do whatever the stage 4 thing is that the medical society says I need to do. I would like to die peacefully in my house.
Correct.
And not pursue, I don't even want to know. I would rather have no idea. I had
like
myself.
What the options are, like, you could have surgery, you could have radiation, you could have.
Yeah, not going to do it.
I don't want to hear that shit either.
And so making your peace with that your sovereignty, again, like we're talking about this, like how sovereign are you wanting to be?
Right.
And in what area you may be willing to be more sovereign in some areas than in others.
Great point.
Right? So I'm not ready yet to get off grid and have no, so I'm going to give a little bit of my sovereignty away to the utility department.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
And it's
we're not
choice.
speaking in absolutes at all.
Yeah, we're not. And it's all these different sort of categories. So there's like educational sovereignty, there's birthing sovereignty, there is, religious sovereignty, there is sexual sovereignty.
Yes.
There's all these different categories of sovereignty. Political sovereignty, and at different phases in our lives, financial sovereignty, where we are pressing into, okay, I want to explore sexual sovereignty for, this window of time or in this space in my life, which I may not be exploring when I'm pregnant with 3 toddlers,
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a dance.
It's a dance.
It's a completely different thing. And
no judgment from us, I know, on anybody's choices.
None at all.
I know that. I know you don't. I don't.
None. And it's really important because
that's their sovereignty.
And so you really, you have to make your peace with death, physical death. You also have to make a peace with social death, which I know that you've experienced.
Hello.
Right?
Yeah.
Because when you press into your sovereignty, you are going to get pushback from small amounts all the way up to being told you're totally irresponsible and a danger to society.
Correct.
You need to be shut down.
Correct.
And especially if you are in some sort of a position where other people are listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Then you're even more dangerous.
Yeah. Okay, so those two things really have to come in to before you enter into I didn't know my sovereignty when I got married. Neither one of us had ever had this conversation. And so it affects those relationships. What is this going to look like?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
How many, so we're not, in our culture, we don't have a set training on sovereignty. No one is systematically teaching us how to grow out of childhood where legitimately other people take care of us. And we do what they say, and I'd love to hear your idea about how that transition happens through childhood and adulthood, but no one is giving this to us. And so it's just people, I wonder what the percentage is. I bet in this U.S., I mean, the mainstream would portray it as 80 to 90% of people. If I'm looking at, well, how did you enter the relationship with each other? You know, and it's like, well, so many people tell me, well, I didn't ask them to marry me. Wow. Like they, you know, it came up and then we started talking about it, and then we just started saying, well, June is a great month. And then everything kept rolling, and now we're married, you know, and like, you know, and then someone said we're supposed to have kids, and I think we're supposed to,
we're robots.
But everything is just marching forward by someone else's standards.
And I think a lot of people, like, I think within marriage, you're both kind of wake up and be like, you know, you're both, how did we get here? Where did all these kids come from? You know, how come we have 5 TVs? Like, you know, all of that, because we're mindlessly we're just not thinking, much less thinking about authentic will, authentic desire, authentic, you know, any of that. And if we are, it's very difficult to have conversations in entrenched relationships that already have a way of functioning. So that's where this anarchy kind of comes in, because it's going to be a form of anarchy to step into your sovereignty in systems that are already very much ingrained in patterns of oppression, of
oppressing people. How do you define anarchy? Because I hear you use that word a lot, and I hear people use it in such different meanings. So what's your meaning, my love?
I don't know where I read this exactly, but I love this definition of anarchy. It's not my own. It's that anarchy is the default state of humanity.
Oh, interesting.
And that the state is a parasite that operates within the framework of anarchy. So nature it has no governance over it. So it's in a default state of not having governance other than natural law.
Every being, say, in nature, be it a plant or something, is in its sovereignty.
It's in its sovereignty.
It doesn't have a ruler, an overseer to put rules down.
And it functions under natural law.
Yeah, natural laws in existence.
Right. So the natural law, and that is the default state.
Yeah.
If you and I were to just land here with no books, no teachings, nothing at all, just us in the realm, what would we understand about our own power within this space? To, you know, if I want a house, I'm gonna have to build it, right? So I begin to step into the awareness that the creative mind is continually calling desire into being.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
my language.
The creative mind is that coming from sovereign source.
Yes.
Right? This is like, what does this being need right now? And then the creative mind meets you there.
Yeah.
And says, oh, here's how to get that need met. Right? When we don't have other people to meet the need, and we're not desperately trained to seek other people. This is what happens a lot in childhood. But when we're left to our own devices to get our needs met, so to speak, without using another human, right? Then the creative mind is what comes forward and problem solves and calls forth desire and desire and that creativity and the sovereign will. And this is how we are building around ourselves, right? When we have a community, then it complicates it almost immediately.
Why? Because you also have your sovereignty, but my sovereignty doesn't want you to have your sovereignty. And your sovereignty stepping on top of my sovereignty.
I know. I want the window to go here. You want it to go there. You know, and so we complicate the simplest of engagements phenomenally just by engaging another human.
Yes.
And it only complicated if I fully acknowledge and honor the sovereignty of this other human.
Okay.
Because if I don't honor and acknowledge their sovereignty, then I just usurp that, and then I just like you're going to do things my way. And it's really becomes the battle of the strongest mind and the strongest will.
Right. And there you have so many relationships, a power battle.
Right there.
Yeah.
And so if we really want
and
to...
governments and war.
Everything.
Yeah.
And so
That's
it
right.
becomes actually a lot more... requires a lot more courage, and it requires a lot more communication when I fully acknowledge your sovereignty as equally as valid and real as my own. And then we, in that, decide to build something as simple as a grass hut for us to live in to get out of the weather.
Yeah.
Like, let's just start there.
Right. When you just landed here and you don't know anything and you need shelter today.
A shelter today. And then we introduce this very vulnerable life, a baby, that we are inclined to protect in their vulnerability. And I believe, because I've gone, I've raised up to their 20, my kids they're grown, so I've got them from 3 to 26 years old in my life right now. And it's really interesting because we have the three-nager. We have a three-nager and a 13-year-old.
A real cute one. Yeah, so you have three, one at 3, one at 13.
1 at 3, 1 13, 1 17, 2 at 21, 1 at 25, and 1 at 26. And the three-nager, Bella, is very, now at 3, she's fully aware of her sovereignty.
Okay.
I can say that by the time the child is 2 or 3 years old, they are fully cognizant that they are sovereign beings. Okay. And as such are a danger to themselves and the whole household.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And it becomes a real practice. If you can master it with a 3-year-old, you can master it with your partner.
That's a great one.
Okay.
I would love to hear how you do that. I'd love to hear what your toughest moment has been, or moments as a parent with sovereignty as they've grown. And maybe what your highest victory moment is too. Just how does that feel and look, either for a parent who's listening or someone who's thinking about being one? Take us there.
I think that it's tricky when you're dealing with the sovereignty of a 3-year-old is very different than dealing with the sovereignty. I will say often that the hardest age to raise kids is from the 15-year-old to 25-year-old.
Okay.
And even now, I am like, if my boys, because I have 4 boys, if they survive their own, coming of age, it will be a miracle if all of them survive. And so the biggest desire, I think, for the parent is to protect them from themselves. And so you are usurping their sovereignty in an attempt to protect them. And what we don't recognize is consequences are vital points of information.
Great point.
That require action, that inspire action.
Yes.
On the behalf of the person. And you have to let them experience consequence, again, to the point of death.
I just really am feeling you right now. Like I'm feeling the amount of courage it takes. You know, I've seen that kind of courage in relationships, but I might just lose the relationship.
Yeah.
You're talking about my child might ride his motorcycle into an 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
And I might have to let him get on that bike and see what happens on that today on the road.
Yeah. And even now, you know, you mentioned the motorcycle. Vicente had it. Even in light of Vicente's devastating motorcycle accident, his little brother, who is now about to turn 18, is going out and looking at motorcycles. And I, of course, I'm like, you can't get, you know, like there's that part.
Automatic.
Protector. But I just told him, you know, I am not here for another round of it. So you define, that's where, this is where.
I've got my limits.
This is where we don't have to be sucked into somebody else's sovereign choice.
Wow, I love this.
Right? And so you can say that you are making this choice. In my sovereignty, I say I do not agree with it. Do not ask me to give you any money whatsoever in relationship to this. So I will not even buy you, I'm not going to buy a helmet. I'm not giving you money for gas. I'm not giving you any money. If you want to purchase a vehicle, a car, I will pay half of it. If you choose this option, you are on your own. I'm not paying for it, not doing any of it. And I will go as far as to say, if you have a devastating accident, the medical bills are going to be yours.
Wow.
Not mine.
Right.
Okay.
He is an adult technically, so
you
that's
are an
totally
adult.
legit, and you're letting him know now.
I'm letting you know now.
Wow.
And so I'm out. And that is all, because the consequences for whether you're 3 or whether you're, 60, it doesn't matter. Consequences are what inspires us to do something, continue doing something, because consequences are not necessarily negative. We associate a negative connotation with the word.
I automatically thought that.
Yeah, but they're not necessarily negative. And the kids, I have also experienced where they have turned their consequences into the greatest, feat of victory for them. And then I'm like, oh, well, they're like, see, Mom, everything's fine. Like,
tell us about one of those. Like, what's one where you were like, wow, I'm so glad I've given them sovereignty all this time, because look what happened just now.
Look what happened. I did not make Vicente, I think school, another one is education. So I've let them choose their own educational path.
That's so wild.
I know.
From kindergarten?
Well,
or
pretty much.
Starts,
like
or pre-K?
we did a lot of unschool. We've done a lot. I mean, we've really experienced a lot within the realms of sovereignty around just, homeschooling, unschooling, birthing kids, giving them total freedom. So I would say that my boys, I have a friend who says that they're free range, they're feral. My boys are feral.
That's hot. I love it.
They, from the time they are 13. I've never put, don't track anybody on their phones. I know a lot of parents who are tracking their kids.
No, and the kid has they might as well have it implanted. It's not
they
implanted.
Will, and it affects. You cannot imagine how much being tracked.
Oh my God.
Even us as a society, just having cameras everywhere, we're being monitored. And the biggest benefit of homeschool for my kids was not that they had this fantastic classical education given to them. It was the absence of programming.
Yes.
A government system programming that never occurs to them to think, like, ask permission to go to the bathroom or ask permission. They don't line up. They don't think like a cog in a system.
Yes.
And so that has been, and when my 21-year-old got pregnant when he was 16, and at that point I was like, well, I guess you're a man now. You're graduated. We're now
officially. Yeah. Having a baby makes you 18 in my book. So.
And having those kids in the room next door to me, because they're living in my house with a crying baby, and not interfering at all.
Wow.
And letting them deal with the consequences of this teen pregnancy.
Oh my God.
And not offering to help them in any capacity beyond, I'm offering y'all a place to live. You know, I'm going to do that. But, and he and her, they both were, our little one is now almost 4, magnificent. They just rose. They, you know, I would just like let the baby cry. The baby's not gonna die. You know, they're not, they just, and then they're in their mom, what do we, you know, figure it out. And so allowing people to experience life. And I think so much of what our government is trying to do is these, well, I don't know, on the giving them, you know, let's give them the benefit of the doubt.
That's
with
being
the
generous,
benefit of the doubt,
okay.
They're doing, you know, this wide sweeping what's best for society, you know, and not allowing anybody experience their own sovereignty.
Yeah, I wanna just chime in for 1 second. Now it seems like we're moving toward what does happen for adults, and some adults might reach the adulthood sovereign, like your blessed children, who are, like I said, radiant stars. They're just so beautiful to me, ones I've met, and then other adults, I would say, I think most reach adulthood in a compliant state. But what I wanted to mention real quick is, yes, let me chime in here, because it really was when the lockdowns all hit in 2020, and I went into this like, what in the heck is going on here? Oh my God, my mind was blown. It wasn't blown that the totalitarian system tried to come down on us. It was blown by how many people complied. I couldn't believe the compliance level.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say real quick about, I've been deep diving philosophically myself on the greater good. And at this moment, my theory right now is that that's bullshit.
Yeah.
My current theory right now is that that's all a crock of shit to try to make us comply with your idea, whoever you is, whoever's saying it. And what I feel about that is and this also has to do with, and you know that I teach this all the time and talk about it in my work, which is, yes, there's an activated me that's really activated, off balance, dissociated, and I might think I'm in my sovereignty at that moment, but I'm actually just looking to shoot heroin in my veins or something. I'm like, okay, I'm in my sovereign choice and I want a gallon of ice cream right now. You know, like, that's fucking sovereignty. You know, like, okay, so for me, I really teach and coach a lot about how, no, it's actually first get to the stillness, first come to the deeper connection with the divine, let go of my lower mind that's logicking everything. And so I'm about finding that deeper place of connection in stillness with my higher self. And then from that place is where my deepest sovereignty is. And I'm really, like you mentioned it earlier, I'm in a connection with the divine there, because my higher self is divine. So I am in my soul's purpose. And there's a difference between just wanting something frantically and thinking I'm in sovereignty. But let's say that I'm in that more still place of sovereignty. And when I get to that place, I don't want to hurt anyone else.
No.
I'm not saying it's for the greater good that I don't hurt anyone else. I'm saying I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to. I want to love. And I want to find more love. And I want to find more people who know how to love. And so I personally right now have a theory that the greater good is only a made-up, fictional, abusive, oppressive idea. And it's easy to convince people that we have to have that concept when everyone is activated and they can't find their deep connection to the divine and know what is true for them. Because if I'm real confused and I'm like, well, I don't know, this team, the red team is saying this, the blue team is saying that, I don't know, they kind of have good points, I can't find my stillness, I don't know what's better, then someone has to come in and put me out of my misery, like that movie when that girl got slapped in the face.
Airplane.
The airplane did it too, and I was thinking Gone with the Wind, but it was like, boom, someone has to come in and go, stop spinning your little cogs over you're not in your sovereignty, and so we now have to explain to you, do things for the greater good, and then to the frantic thinking person that might help as a concept. But I think it's a crutch and a fake out right now. That's my theory. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right, and I think that it's tapping into our fear of being alone, our fear of being wrong, and of offending, like this need for social acceptance, which is a core, but that need, I think that need is like exasperated, or it's like stoked, when we don't need it as much as we think that we need it.
The social acceptance,
like a broad social acceptance.
That's a good point.
It's enough to have like one other soul, like this right here. This is great. I'm be writing on this conversation for a long time. I don't need to have a broader that taps into fear. What about my work? What about this? I'm going to lose my job. All of that. And so we're very quick to give up sovereignty for the comfort in exchange. It's an exchange for comfort
and belonging. A feeling of belonging.
Exactly, which is comforting.
It's comforting. It's all comfort.
And so our sovereignty is always going to hit the biggest enemy, I guess, if maybe not the right word, but the biggest challenge to sovereignty.
I like that word.
Is comfort.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I said so many times, I definitely did not come here this lifetime to seek comfort.
Yeah.
I like comfort. It happens a lot. It's really fun. But that is, if I have the choice between comfort and adventure, and thrill, I'm like, oh, heck no, let's go.
Let's go. And when you look at life as play, and it's where it's okay, I think this is the container that you've created so much, is like a container where there really isn't, you can play and you can mistake and you can try things and then be like, oh, I didn't like that after all.
Definitely.
And slow the intensity and slow down, all of the things and kind of backpedal. You live in a world where backpedaling is okay.
Yep, we have that. We are in a great place to be learning about all this and trying it.
And I think through our sexuality is such a vivid space around where you can play in the context of sovereignty and consent, all of that. Yes. You really bring a very visceral space for exploration in that. And so much applies, so much of what you might do in an intimate space or in a play space sexually is going to cross over and apply in a very social, non-quote-unquote sexual realm, but isn't it all somewhat sexual in a way, right?
Yes, and I know what you mean.
Yeah.
That the dynamics, sovereignty or not, that I am in the bedroom with my partner, are also probably how I'm going to act at a dinner party.
Exactly.
Really.
Yeah.
Because if I go into the bedroom with my partner and I'm not sovereign, I mean, I constantly work with clients on this, and I cannot believe. It's honestly, the truth is, it's gendered. And I don't like to make gender categories for no reason. And just the fact of the truth of where we live right now, I really believe, and I could be wrong, I think boys and men look at porn like all the time, like a lot. Yeah. Like a lot. And I don't think most parents understand that most kids have a phone and they're looking at it by 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
And if you're controlling your kid's phone, that doesn't mean you're controlling every phone they have access to. And what do you think they're going to try to find the first time they get their hands on one of those things? So I have so many. Golly, Bluebird.
That really taps into, because of course, as a mother of boys,
you have the boys.
This has been a thing.
It has to have been. It's just a thing.
Oh yeah. One time I was in my room and we have a Bluetooth speaker that like just connects to the whole house and everybody can hear it. And I was laying peacefully in my bed.
Oh shit.
When blasting through the house is like porn.
That's too good. That's too funny. I've got one of your kids in mind right now, but I don't know.
Not that one. That's the one. and it's just like, oh my God. Turn it off. You're on the Bluetooth.
Too funny.
Right. And so we are, and I've gone back, around and around with the boys. Not in a shameful way. I also really believe that is their journey, their sexuality. Because I also was very much enmeshed in a Christian fundamentalist tradition for a while. And the mothers would talk a lot about how to keep your sons from masturbating and how you should talk to your kids about, this was this conversation. And at a very early age, before my sons came of age in that era, they were like, all under the age of 9 or so.
Yeah, elementary.
I remember thinking that is their private journey, and I'm not going to get into that. What I will do is talk openly about the trauma around porn and sex trafficking and all of the things, and let's just have it's like a little detached conversation and never once bring up their own relationship with it or their own relationship with, that's their own journey. But at least I can say, wow, human trafficking is a thing and kids are being used in porn, and a lot of porn has got a lot of trauma around it. And it's also not, it's terrible, but it's not terrible. And it's, just to have these really open conversations and let them find their own journey within their sexuality.
God, that's so beautiful. And I don't know if I've ever heard a parent, I've never heard a parent speak about that healthily about it.
Yeah.
About raising their kids like that.
They have to find, they have to self-discovery. It's this and their own, whether it's negative or it is their journey. And it is a very intimate journey.
So many parents take away the journeys of their kids.
They do. They're taking it away on every level.
Put a helmet on. Put this on. Put that on. Put a chip on. Put this on.
I want to know where you're at.
Call me every second.
Yeah. And I let those boys go roam free with the awareness that they can talk. That we did create a world where everything is, they talk to me. They tell me.
Yes, that's an essential component here. Is that they're informed.
They're informed.
It's kind of like informed consent. It's like mom is open. She speaks about anything. She knows a lot. Yeah. And she's not judging me.
Yeah.
So now I know I can speak with her about the most embarrassing topic.
And they've all come, I've had one come to me, I think I have an STD, what should I do? And I'll have another one who thought he had, that's been like,
it's
okay, and they're not, they're coming to me first.
That's exactly what I would want as a parent.
Exactly. And then, and I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, geez, that's a tough one.
Like that, let's just, walk through it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. We've had all of the things happen. And they have had a lot of hard knocks. But I can say for Vicente, who had a devastating motorcycle accident where he almost had an amputation of his foot a year and a half ago.
I cannot believe it's been that long.
Okay. Whenever he had that surgery and he had to move back home, and I'm dressing his foot, and I was coming home from school every day because what I saw was a 25-year-old young man who's now has to move back home and is living in the, who's a Muay Thai fighter, who has his own business, who's not able to do, being told that he may never walk again without a severe limp or without extreme pain. So fighting out his whole business that he has built, which is a moving company, out.
Yeah, it's very physical.
And I'm thinking, and then they're offering him, pharmaceutical pain meds. So I'm seeing this kid who's quote unquote lost everything. And I thought that the consequence would be depression. Now he's going to get addicted to, pharmaceuticals. Yeah. He's going to be playing video games, and it's just going to be all downhill from here. And so I was coming home from school every day to check on him. Mm-hmm. He didn't really need me to check on him, but I was in full mama mode. And he sat me down and he said, "You need to stop this checking on me."
Whoa.
And I was like, well, he's like, "I'm okay." And I'm like, "You're not okay." And he was like, "My foot is not okay. I'm okay."
Oh.
And I'm like, "You're okay?" And he's like, "Are you kidding me? I get to sleep. I haven't slept in like a year. My brothers are doing anything I tell them to do whenever I ask them to do it. There's a team of women around me.
Love it.
I'm great."
Wow.
And he never took any of the pharmaceuticals. It has been a year and 3 months, and he is now back in the ring. He is training, and he's teaching Muay Thai at the Insight Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Bastrop.
Oh,
He let nothing. He walks without a limp.
Did he keep his business?
His business is booming. It's called Steppers, which ironically is what he had named it before he ever had the accident. And what I saw is that by allowing him throughout his life.
Yes, that was the culmination of his lifetime.
Of a lifetime.
Yes.
Of
so
just
beautiful.
Being like, you know what? It's rough, it's hard, it's, but he was like, life is pain. He didn't mean it in a negative, grumpy sort of way. Mm-hmm. But it's like training is pain. And this is just another form of training. And if the only thing if the worst thing that you're having to experience is pain, you're going to be okay. Mm-hmm. So we try to, and I think a sovereignty, coming back to this idea of sovereignty meaning rubbing up against comfort. And
Beautiful.
If I step into my sovereignty, I'm going to experience some kind of pain.
That's beautiful.
Right?
Yes.
Whether it's the loss of a relationship or the struggle within a relationship or conflict or literal pain where like the government's going to say you can't work for us if you don't do X, Y, or Z that you don't conform with.
Yeah.
And so pain and your sovereignty. And so what Vicente saw, that's my son, was he wasn't about to lose his sovereignty.
In that accident.
Even
though it could have taken his livelihood, his home.
The doctors told him, you may never walk again. And if he had listened.
Exactly. That's where he was like, in his head, he was like, wrong, and I don't agree with you, and I'm not going to hear that.
I'm not going to do it. And I won't comply
with not doing your meds.
He didn't comply with any of it. And within 2 weeks, he was out on a job that he had booked 2 months before. And, people are moving. You can't have your movers back out, the day of your move. And so, he was like, no, and he sat in the truck. And his brothers, which is, a baseball team.
Yeah, he supervised.
Did everything.
2 weeks
and then he got
being told you're never going to walk.
And then he got a peg leg, a pirate metal peg leg. and did it like that. And then, but I think that the bigger, and it's like Isaiah with the baby, you know, when Isaiah got pregnant at 16, he never left Melina. And even now, him and Melina are not in a relationship, a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, but she lives, you know, across the street with my mother. And he is like, no, we will do this. We will do it right. And these are our consequences, and we will, you know, push through them. And through them, all you're doing is seeing young people develop into way more faster into their sovereign adulthood. You know, at much younger age, they're fast tracking. And as parents, we can produce young adults. Like back in the day, you know, school is a big part of this, where we have compulsory education, which is relatively new. So prior to the 1940s,
40s,
15 years old, you were done with school when you were 15. And it produced adults.
Yeah, and people were getting married earlier.
Yeah, they were
and
getting
starting
everything.
families, basically. Yeah.
But starting your career and
your whole
everything.
career.
Like
As
there
an
would the
apprentice,
concept
as
of the
this.
teenager did not exist.
That's a beautiful point. That's
okay.
really interesting. Yeah.
So
that
the
is
concept of the teenager, that phrase was used by the first time. I think it was in that mechanics. What is that magazine?
Popular Mechanics?
Popular Mechanics magazine,
Really?
like 1946, was the first
will be
time
darned.
that phrase was introduced into, you know, society, the concept of the teenager. And by creating this concept, we thwarted the sovereignty, really, of a whole generation or the rest of our society. Okay, because now you're given a ticket to play, which in a childish way with parental oversight.
That's right.
Not adult play.
In a tiny box where we say you can be only.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not exploring.
It's not exploring.
No.
And
that's not real consequences, because mom and dad will be definitely paying for you to.
And it's not real, and it's childlike play, and it's a pretend adult play, where like my son Isaiah said, you know, when he was little, he thought that alcohol was the adult beverage, but he's found out that it's water. Water is the adult beverage. So we're teaching them that adult play is this thing that looks like what we might call partying.
Yeah.
Which really does have a lot of lack of responsibility within it.
Good point.
Right?
Good point.
And so we're holding off maturity.
That's right.
We are holding kids, young people, in this perpetual state of childhood, and then just magically expecting them to become sovereign adults. But we're not expecting them to become sovereign adults. We're expecting them to become compliant adults who are now addicted to porn and credit card debt, addicted to drugs and alcohol, you know, all of this stuff, school debt. And by the time they wake up, they're too enmeshed in all of this junk to be a threat.
All the tentacles are in them. Yeah, it's hard
anybody.
to get out of that.
Yeah, because what's the biggest threat to
threatening.
Society is the 15 to 30-year-old is the biggest threat
Who's
to
sovereign.
a government.
Yeah, who is sovereign.
Who is aware of their
point.
sovereignty, who's in their physical strength, who is able to rise up and do something. The last group of people you want to have sovereign is the 15 to 30-year-old.
That's beautiful. Had you heard once? I heard recently the founders of our country were like 25, 30.
And we had no concept of like this period of time of 15 to 25 where we're just playing and going to school and getting into debt. You know, that would have been, and so when we are taking our 3-year-old to our 25-year-old, and we are able to say, okay, I want this person to begin to understand their sovereignty, but they won't unless you tell them that they're sovereign.
And grant them the actual sovereignty.
And in length, so that they are recognizing, oh, that's what this is. This is me getting able to step into that and increasing as they increasingly become aware of their sovereignty. It really, in theory, should look like exactly what you just said. They want what's best for, they want to be held. Like, the more sovereign you are, it's not the more dangerous you, violent you are. Like there's some idea that the sovereign is the savage. There's some sort of connection with being sovereign and being a savage.
And being crude and not and disrespectful and cruel
self-centered.
to others.
Yeah,
self-centered. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. But what happens with
what I was talking about.
Authentic sovereignty, especially when it's taught in relationship to other people's, and family systems are a great place to do this. And if you don't have a family system to do it in, then in your very small, intimate community system,
yes, your best friends,
is where it should be happening, and in your intimate relationships.
An intimate relationship too. Yes.
But you're not only teaching them that they are sovereign, but that their siblings and other people around them are sovereign as well. And they have to honor. And I have found that we do that I can say, oh, well, your brother's a sovereign person and you need to blah, blah, blah. But the more powerful way to do it is for me to stand in my sovereignty so that when kids become manipulative, and then I'm like, okay, so can I give a quick example of one way that this played out?
Yeah.
So I love to use my son, Isaiah Santiago. He's brilliant and he's on a path of healing. He's like always in these conversations with me. He was maybe 16 or 15 or 16, and he said, Mom, will you, he was going to work and he wanted headphones. Will you stop at the Dollar General and buy me some headphones? And he had a job and he was making all this money. I said, no, you can buy your own headphones, because he keeps losing them. And he got mad that I would not stop and buy him headphones. They're only $5, you know, that whole conversation. And I said, stop. When you said, will you buy me headphones, was that an actual question that I was allowed to say no to or yes to? Or was it a veiled demand? Right?
Beautiful.
And now we're getting into wheel of consent conversation, right? And I said, because when you use the phrase, will you, I get to answer yes or no. And if you will not accept if the only acceptable answer is yes, then we're in an issue where it wasn't a question, it was a demand, and you're not allowing me to have my sovereign reasons.
That's
and
really
you're not
beautiful.
Right? And
that's so beautiful.
When your kids are coming at you with the will yous, when you know that if you say no, they're going to have a hot fit.
Yeah.
This is anywhere from the time they're 3 until, no, it doesn't matter how old they are. If you know your no is going to result in a fit, then that is the place where you have a conversation about your sovereignty.
Yeah, beautiful.
Right?
Beautiful.
And you make them aware that you have a choice.
Yeah.
And it may not be something that they like to hear. And so, and in that, we've been able to really navigate language and respect and boundaries and being able to go, okay, so I want this, you want this. Let's state it clearly. Now, how can we, move in this? For me as a mom with older kids, a lot of what I do is let them, like mine are pretty feral. I have a 17-year-old, he's a junior, just completed his junior year. I've never once checked a grade.
Oh my God, that's crazy talk, isn't it, for a parent?
If you are a parent in the Texas Independent School District, you know that Skyward is the parent portal. I've never once logged on to Skyward.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
I do not check his grades.
Yeah.
And although he's a straight A student.
Oh,
so, but that's
not because you're staring him down.
And he doesn't have to be.
Because his sovereign self decided he wanted to.
That's just what he does.
Ace the exam.
He wants to go to, he wants to be what he wants to be when he grows up. And the conversation was given a long time ago. Well, then I guess, that's pretty, like he's an MIT, like he wants to do,
some
his whole fancy stuff. And so if that's what you want to do, then do it. No one's going to keep you from doing that.
And here's the path that's going to look like you're probably going to need a lot of A's, etc. And then good luck there.
Yeah. And if you decide you don't want to do it, that's also fine. And if you decide you don't want to go, right now he's deciding because he's been homeschooled up until this last school year.
Okay.
So he went into the high school as a junior for the first time ever in public education. And had a rude awakening and is debating on whether or not, and I'm like, it's entirely up to you. If you want to go back, you can go back. If you want me to grant you a diploma and you just take the SAT, we can do that. If you want to go to ACC, you can, tell me what you want to do. It's his, you're letting them have their experience. Work. If I know that the kids are supposed to be at work at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I know that it's 5:50 and nobody has gotten out of bed yet.
Yeah.
I am not waking anybody up.
That is huge. I think that's huge.
Yeah. Let them run it. Mom, I'm late. I didn't even know. Why didn't you wake me up? Because you're a young adult. Because being consequence of being late and getting into trouble is a lot better.
Ooh, it is better.
It's going to produce responsibility.
Yeah, better than you wait for mommy because guess what? Who they're going to be waiting for in a few years? Their wife.
Exactly.
Why didn't you wake me up?
Exactly.
It's going to be the same thing.
And it's just we want to build. The world needs adults.
Yes, the world
needs
ready
conscious
for more
adults.
Sovereignty.
The world needs conscious, thoughtful, empowered adults.
Empowered.
Not a bunch of kids who are waiting to be told what they should be doing, and just paying through the nose to exist.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, everyone who wants to tell you what to do has got a handout.
Has a handout.
They've got some great ideas for you. It's going to cost something. I mean, everyone's got an angle.
And we are making those exchanges. Right? If we, taxes are a perfect example of that. But within that, we look at how do we change these bigger, how can a government exist and sovereignty exist?
Yeah.
Can the two things exist? Can parents and kids coexist in the same household? Parents, it's this very similar dichotomy because the parents have a governing, so there's a centralized government in the household. Right?
Yeah.
And I think the same thing that a parent has to do is the same thing the government has to do, and that is to allow conflict, to allow consequences, to allow people to make decisions that could be, and then boundaries. Okay, when I brought in the brother of, when I brought in this boy who had been living in a meth camp, I made a conscious choice to bring him into our home 4 years ago. But we had a conversation, and that went you are leaving that and coming here. You're not bringing that here.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So as long as we're very clear, if you're bringing that here, you're not allowed to do that. And I will not, you're just going to have to, do your thing. If you want to come here and leave that behind completely forever, then as long as it's not a part of what, and you are, doing this, and this, and by that, I mean paying rent, a small amount of rent, normal stuff. And we've been 4 years, total peace. And you have these kids, and then I think one other thing that really comes forward.
Just quickly, I want to say how beautiful it is that this child, a teenager, right? He chose what to do there.
Yeah, he did.
And he's probably never, ever going back. And you have you have the same kid, and you have parents telling them to go into inpatient and this and that and this and that. And they're going to be back over at that camp again.
They are. And I think that's where intrinsic motivation comes through an awareness of our sovereignty and being given a lot of space to make decisions and grace around the consequences. Like there's not a judgment. If you feel like you're addicted to this thing and you still want to do it, I'm not judging that as bad. I'm just saying I can't allow it around my children. And so when we are able to set boundaries without judgment on the choices, like, this is just for me. This is my thing. And as a parent and as a person who's holding a container of any sort, like if you're a leader over a container, you're having to do the same sort of governance sorts of things. So there is a point where someone else's sovereign choice is going to come up and you're going to say, I know, not in my space that I have. But so that's a part of understanding your kingdom. And that's the difference between a hierarchy theory and a kingdom theory. That's a whole nother sort of thing. But in a hierarchy theory, there's always someone, it's the hierarchy. And I'm I'm judging where I'm at on this hierarchy.
Value is based on.
And my sovereignty is only in relationship to the sovereignty of like the most powerful being above me.
Good point.
Right? So I become, the further down the hierarchy, the less sovereign people are. Yeah. Versus a kingdom theory, which says we're all responsible for our own kingdom. And
each has a kingdom.
Every individual has their own kingdom.
Exactly.
And our kingdoms overlap in certain ways, but there is like this is my kingdom, And my youngest son had a friend whose mother kicked him out. This happened the other day, and I had both of my kiddos who I had taken in were at the house when we had this conversation. And he's like, well, he's sleeping in the park. His mom has kicked him out. And so the question was, can he come in and stay with us? Yeah. To which I was a hard no.
Okay.
I was a hard no.
That's so interesting.
And he's like, well, what about Derek and Melina? They're living with us. And he's like, it's just for one night. And Derek and Melina both laugh. Okay. Like, 4 years later. I said, he has a father, he has a mother. I know his mother. We can go to her house right now and help to troubleshoot. He's 16. We can call the police. He does not have to sleep in the park. He has options as a minor. If he called 911, they would place him. So no, he may not come here. And my son kept pushing back, and he is like, no, it's just, you're just being... it's cold, it's all of the things. It's, cold and rainy, and he's just a little puppy out in the park. And I said, you know what? Why don't you go sleep with him in the park? And he was like, what? I'm like, get the camping. And Derek was like, yeah, we'll get the camping gear. I'm like, perfect solution.
Go keep him company.
Go keep him company.
And there is camping equipment.
Yeah.
So,
take it.
Build a tent.
You are welcome.
That's so funny.
To go.
What other parent could possibly say that to their
kid? Night under the bridge with your friend, if you want to support him in this hardship. And he was like, what? I don't want to do that. I'm like, well, then quit your belly aching. You are free to do it.
Yeah.
Totally free, and Derek will go with you, and so when we turn the tables, there are more than one option for us,
right?
And a lot of times,
black and white. Things are not like this or that.
They're not.
They really aren't.
And a lot of times, when you slide the total sovereignty option to a person, they will pull back.
Yes.
They are like, oh. I don't want to do that. Like, you do not have to stay. There are no victims.
Yes.
We're co-creating engagement with people.
There are no victims.
We're all creators.
An idea of sovereignty.
We are all creators.
We're all creators.
And you are co-creating or creating whatever dynamic that you are in. And it's going to come out kind of harsh when I say the abused woman. And I get it. Believe me, I get it. Why they stay. But it is choice. And you're choosing comfort over sovereignty.
Wow.
That's
and
it.
You get to say that if you want to.
I can say that. You are. And that comfort may be the absence of a violent response to your leaving.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, very real.
Yeah, very real.
But you are making a choice.
You are making a choice. I think we're only here to make choices every I think there's nothing we're in this lifetime. I feel like this lifetime is a very short, very short little stretch for our soul. And here we come down here and we get so excited we want to be down here and make all the decisions. And then it's every moment of the day you're choosing things. You're choosing what to think about, choosing whether to have a certain kind of clothes on, where to be, where to stand, whether to walk, whether to sit, whether to speak to someone. It's all choice, choice, choice. And I personally believe that we're only here to make a series of choices, and at the end we will be evaluating all of them, and we will be looking back, and we'll spend a lot of time looking back to learn from how we could have chosen differently or what we wish we'd chosen differently. To me, the only test is, what are you choosing moment to moment?
Yeah.
And like, why are you choosing that moment to moment? That's
What's the motivation underneath
Yeah,
it?
that's the only thing we're here for.
And is it authentic choice?
Yeah,
I think
exactly. That's
is,
what we'll be reviewing later. I know someone who passed recently and close to me who I think is going to be reviewing a lot of compliant choices. And that person died very unhappy.
Yeah.
And I think that I witnessed that, and I think that they're going to be reviewing a very long life of many decades of intense compliance.
Oh, wow.
And that's not judgy at all.
Yeah,
I
no,
just
it's
think
just
that's
the
what
reality.
happened.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to be looking at.
And when we have these moments of, I think I'm kind of experiencing this moment in my life right now where I feel like I'm on a new timeline. And I'm aware that there are all of these like possibilities, and I don't know what to choose. Right? So we get into
a new place of freedom. And some of the things that have constricted you before are now fallen away. So there's a new beautiful moment.
And in freedom, there is a freeze. And I don't know that, and it's where we want to press into, it's the question of the 20-year-old. What am I going to be when I grow up? Now you're like sitting here, you're in your prime. You're like, I don't want to say that's your prime. It's not your prime. But you know what I mean?
You're
like,
free from some constraints.
Some constraints.
You got whatever education you got by now.
Supposedly, the whole world is ahead of you.
Oyster.
Your oyster. At that time, you're generally choosing a life, work path, so to speak, and anything is possible in that space. And we tend to revert to like a familiar homeostasis. So we don't venture out. We don't really take the time to practice authentic will and sovereignty. I think we are very much inclined towards homeostasis.
The comforts.
The comfort. And is it, are we in comfort, or are we in some kind of a homeostasis where we're not wanting to challenge our own ourselves, really, our own, to grow, right? Because a lot of because we're also in an internal battle with our own selves. I want to do this. No, you don't. A lot of this.
Yeah.
And that's where that anarchy kind of, like, we have to have hard resets. We have to be willing to have hard resets within ourselves. And can we, and this ties into magic in some ways where it's like, can you completely do something? Are we able to do something completely different than what we've known, and to change matter in sort of a way?
Yeah, say more.
Right?
I'm digging this.
And how do we like look at ourselves and say, wow, I have been functioning this way for so long. I can't imagine not being this way, but I don't want to be this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I would love to be, but it's just overwhelming. And then I'm doing it subconsciously. And then I catch myself. Like, I'm never going to not be this, whatever it is.
It can look daunting to change.
Oh my gosh. It can be so daunting. And it's hard.
It is hard. I think it takes a lot of guts. I think when you told your child, okay, you're going to go get the motorcycle, you know, here are my limits, but I'm not going to tell you not to go get that motorcycle, after I saw my child just very recently come to something that could have been very deadly on the motorcycle. That takes guts.
Yeah.
And really that takes just so much. And I think that we're constantly in that if we let ourselves be, because partnership is also like this, where I have to, I don't want to be stagnant in my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in a stagnant partnership. So that means it's going to be crazy and scary. It's gonna, because we're both going to be, well, my partner and I, we like to use a phrase called sovereign connection, sovereignty and connection, and trying to see like where they fit together and how that works. So we're just kind of playing with it a lot. But what I want to say is that I've tried to live this way for the past 20 years of my life, where I've been in open relationship only. And it's scary sometimes to tell my partner what I'm wanting or what I don't want. It's very scary, because I feel like there have been so many moments where I need to express this from myself to be I need to say this to be me,
to be authentic,
to be happy with myself and to live with myself. But I might lose you. I know that after I say these words.
It's so, and basically I lost my marriage after saying those words. When we both, I think mutually, I want to say mutually, when it came to that space where we're like, okay, we want two completely different things, and by saying it, when we don't say it, we're able to continue for a really long time.
It could go forever.
Because you really love this person, it's authentic, and you're sacrificing. It feels that that's where that kind of virtue, like it feels a little bit virtuous, because you're sacrificing.
It's virtuous.
For this person.
Fuck ourselves over for the benefit of the other.
For the benefit of the relationship and for love. And the courage it takes to say, I might lose you. And then that moment when you acknowledge, like, okay, I am going to lose.
Yeah.
We are going to lose this.
It is going away.
It's going away.
I'm not going to stick to my position.
And can we hold the charge of that? Can we hold the grief?
True for that.
And just be present in the grief of it.
That's right. And that's so tender and so beautiful. We're like, yeah, we might not make it. Yeah, that's true. We might not. Wow. Let's just sit with that. Let's just be there. It
arises in so many different areas. It arises for the parent who's like, I am not going to seek, I'm going to not go to a doctor for my whole pregnancy.
Yeah.
Could something go wrong? And you know what? I'm going to just hold that.
That's
and
the same courage.
It takes these moments of courage.
And it goes the other way, because if I'm telling them my truth and I have to wait to see what they do, they might come at me tomorrow with a crazy truth.
Yeah.
Too. Right? It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do about this? I want every part of me, from the tiny traumatized child I have inside, wants to lash out, wants to control, wants to throw a fit, like you said.
Yeah. We want, it's funny because when I told my son, my youngest son and I have a very, very tender, sweet relationship, and he loves his mama. And when I told him, no, I'm not gonna keep you from doing it, but I'm not gonna support you at all, he was like troubled because he doesn't want to do something that, I don't want him to do. But he really wants to do it. And he really wants it. And we were able to have that conversation.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Where I was able to say, your choice to go ahead and get the motorcycle is a really powerful step into your adulthood. Wow. And your sovereignty. I am not I don't know how to get you to understand. I'm not angry with you if you get the motorcycle. Okay? I'm not, because he's like, you're going to be mad at me if I'm going to go ahead. I'm not. But he could not process.
It takes a lot.
That I'm not mad at you, because we're so trained that if I don't do what you want, then you're going to be mad at me.
Yeah.
So another whole part of this is holding, and I think that's something that you really a master over, and what you're really doing in your work that you're doing is saying, I'm putting up this boundary. It doesn't mean I'm mad at you for continuing to do what you want to do. You may continue to do that, but this person over here is the one who's having the freak out moment.
Yeah, they may be like, but I want your full support around
exactly,
it.
because
I don't fully support it.
And then they can't do it.
Yeah, that's a touchy place.
It is.
Can you continue to be yourself when the other person they're not saying don't do it.
Yeah.
But you don't have it's uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable.
It's just an uncomfortable situation.
And I don't want I want every yes to be authentic.
Yeah.
And every no to be authentic. And so I want to take this moment and teach this person, look, this is a really important choice that you're getting ready to make. And if you choose to go against your parents, you're doing this, and it's not rebellion. It is a very conscious choice for something that you want to experience in life. And he may ride the motorcycle for 50 years and never have an accident. Yeah. Just because Vicente had one did not mean that he's going to have one. And I'm projecting, the parent projects all of the, but to witness this kid, as of today, he has yet to get a motorcycle because he's unwilling to upset his mother.
How interesting, yeah.
And I'm not I'm
out. You're not telling him not to. You're not do it, don't do it.
But how much of us do that when we are met with resistance? There's something in we have to have the affirmation as a validation.
Exactly. We're taught in this society that you have to affirm me, or we're not happy together. Yeah, we can't be together. And that has a lot to do also with that we have to agree on everything. Yeah. Or we're not happy together, which is the opposite of sovereignty. It is. Because if you're if we're going to be friends or lovers, or if we're going to just hang out together, we have to agree on everything. Yeah. So if I find out you have some political stance that I don't like, we can't be friends now. Well, why did we take the relationship off the table? Yeah. Instead of grant sovereignty to each other and have a great relationship together. It's
so hard, and that's where other people's sovereignty, and I often think what would somebody else have to do? And it's, where I'm just I can't be in relationship with you. But there are, I definitely have my, to be in the inner circle, I guess. There's certain,
Are you saying a desire to be in it?
Well, no, for someone to be in my, for me to really embrace somebody into a deep inner circle, there are certain criteria, I guess, or certain belief systems maybe.
Yeah. I want values that are
shared for a super closeness.
Yeah, I do see that.
But then I think there's certain things that some people do that, I don't know about legislation. Like, I feel like there should be, the answer is not more legislation for anything.
Me neither. Coming from a past lawyer.
Whatever the question is,
that's
more legislation is not the answer.
I couldn't agree more. As a lawyer, I couldn't agree more.
And so when we're looking at social situations, and especially now in the climate that we're in, like I'm going to step out, like the idea of there not being any kings is a really interesting concept to me, when we can't avoid kings in any, like, you're being told you have to take, if you're taking your child to a well child checkup every 6 months because you're being told to do that, you're under the rulership of somebody.
You're recognizing your doctor as the king.
As a king.
And you're not going to question what they say.
Yeah.
And you're not going to read the labels.
Yeah. And if
then you have a king.
And if you
I think that is really fascinating. Like, what are
Yeah.
they saying? No kings.
Yeah,
but yet, but they're saying
Yeah,
the
what do you
phrase
mean?
that's popular is saying that, but what they're saying to do about that is bow to this king over here.
Exactly, this other one.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just am
they
like,
really don't mean no kings. We
really don't mean
only
that.
one king.
this other king.
Yeah, we mean this other king. Maybe she's a queen, but
I know, but even in that, that person was put forth as the leadership of that party without anybody voting on her.
I know,
right?
And that group is saying no kings.
And
they did not elect their person to run. I wanted to go to politics.
Yeah,
so I'm glad you did.
So I think that it's really, because politics are as a parent who didn't want to homeschool, didn't want to public school, or didn't vaccinate kids, the kings are present, and they want to know, how come you haven't vaccinated? And there is a threat of having your child taken away from you, and like, it's a very real. The kings are very real.
That's protecting.
Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of kings out there.
There's a lot of people telling each other what to do.
Functioning in child protective services.
Judging each other and pointing
places.
fingers and calling on each other.
Yeah. And laws around, we think about even like, what is it, like the right to commit suicide, the right to die.
Yeah.
Is taken from us by kings and is legislated.
Yep.
And so many areas of our life, from death to birth and everything in between.
Also, like, I want to be burned on a funeral pyre.
Yeah,
I don't want to be cremated in a box. That's
with 5 other people. Did you know that you're not the only one in that?
I did not.
Yeah, they can have up to 10 people in that box, and when you get the ashes back, that is not just your loved one.
Surprise me. And I know that it's in this little tiny container, and I want my soul to fly. Yeah. I don't want to be in any containers. No. I don't want to be in any lead boxes. Can't put you out on
Ladybird?
I'd rather be put out on Ladybird. I would love to be burned on a pyre, but it's the kings won't let me.
The kings won't let you. They wouldn't let my dad be buried on the land.
Right, the natural burial. Of course, that would be my second choice.
And if we did have him buried on the land, then our land becomes public because it's a cemetery, and anybody can drive onto the land to go to it.
I mean, I just think that whole campaign, No Kings, is pretty preposterous, really.
Yeah.
They're not saying anything.
They're not.
I just want to also say that you and I have talked about, I want to talk about politics for real quick.
Okay.
I wish I could remember the name of the book right this second, but I'll put it in the show notes, a link to this book. Something Dawn. And anyway, it's an historical look from the anthropologist's point of view, and they're looking carefully at what life was like for people here in the Americas before Europeans came over.
Interesting.
And what they're finding is new evidence that actually there were very large amounts of people, up to hundreds of thousands of people, like 300,000 people might live in one area, which we, the Europeans, would consider a city and needing governance. But no, they did not need governance.
Yeah.
And that they actually had ways to acknowledge, because the most fundamental principle, one of them is, every being is fully sovereign.
Yeah.
And it's inviolable. That's not up to debate.
Yeah.
So they would have hundreds of thousands of people living on a small piece of land together, with no governance in a centralized government way. And what they said was that like that there would be leadership would rise up from having merit and having a great idea,
Elders.
or having a gift, or being an elder. So then the wisdom rises to the top.
Yeah.
And people are like, now that person has got it going on.
Yeah.
And they're saying that we should move over here for the summertime because of the crops and the
and whether
animals.
or not you go is
and
up to you.
Everyone who thinks they're a great idea, go over there.
Yeah.
And everyone goes over there, and it is or it isn't a good idea, consequences. And then the next season, maybe someone else has a wisdom of, it's for winter, I think we need to go over here. The buffalo are going to be over there. You know, I believe that he is correct. I'm going there.
Yeah.
So like merit governed.
Yes.
And it was never, no one could tell anyone else whether to follow that leader.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated by that. And I want to bring it straight to practical, which is I want our Texas and some other states to break away.
Oh, God. Wouldn't it be amazing?
I am in Texit.org.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay,
Yeah.
devil's advocate. Well, what about Texas outlawing all the fun things like marijuana and everything else? You know, how are we going to deal with this far right, religious far right, once we secede? I feel like let's secede and then we'll deal with that later. That's sort of my take on it.
Thank you, because we're going to, you know, this is my personal plan for the universe.
I love it. I'm in already.
Okay, here's my blueprint. It is going to take raising of consciousness in all of us.
Okay.
The real question, I feel like, it's not what kind of governance. It's not whether the capital is in Austin or Washington, D.C., really. And it's really not whether this book or that book of laws is in writing. Because I've been a lawyer and I've watched the interplay between laws and humans. And sometimes humans get really strict and they look at all the laws and they follow them. And sometimes humans don't really care. You know, like you could actually have a small town in Texas that really doesn't care.
Yeah.
And if no one in that area cares, no one looks at the law book, then that just doesn't matter.
It's so true.
And so we can decide at our level of consciousness of how sovereign we're going to be and how much we're going to recognize in outside of us authority. So I love your question. And in my blueprint, we do raise our consciousness level. And we raise our consciousness that we are not going to tell each other what to do. Because you're right, here in our state of Texas, we both love so much. We do have a bunch of bossy controllers at the top also. We also have a lot of the sentiment of sovereignty in them.
We do.
More than some other places have. That's why I want us to get away from some of the places where I don't see any hint of it anymore. In some of these other states, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like the crazy things they're coming up with. So
can you give an example?
Yeah, I just can't believe that. For instance, I mean, this is an issue that I had a lot of going around in circles on because in immigration, and I want to say that my grandfather came over across the Rio Grande River from Mexico to United States with no paperwork whatsoever and never naturalized till he was elder. Yeah. And so I come from undocumented people. Yeah. And my mother comes from a family that's more well documented, I guess you could say, but still there had to be someone come over here from Ireland. But anyway, my mother in her later years would be really against immigration. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I wouldn't be here. I can't believe you're saying that. Yeah. Like, I can't even believe you're saying those words. And you're sitting next to my father, who is the son of a undocumented. Like, how are you even putting that together? But now, this is a little bit complicated, but still, the point is that in the last few years, immigration has been changed over into something very different.
It's not immigration.
It's not what it was.
It's not.
And it turned into a machine for political purposes to populate certain areas, and hopefully the whole U.S. for whoever the people who were doing it were trying to populate, for several different alternative reasons of doing that. One of them being ultimately they could vote you into office, but there were other reasons too. Another one being that they'll go fight for us in war, that we won't have to actually send our boys to fight. And there are nefarious,
oh my gosh,
awful,
the trafficking
and what happened at the Mexican border in the last few years with that system where the drug lords ruled the border and raped women constantly if they felt like it, with no oversight whatsoever. That was mayhem and bullshit. And what you have right now in California, you have these politicians, you have these paid activists burning down the state, and you have these politicians going, that's okay, that's fine, because we're for immigration. It's like, you have lost your mind. You're now just saying things.
It's very
it's a shadow upon shadow upon shadow upon shadow.
It's double speak. It's magic.
We could just look at the vaccination as well, you know, because in the Texas we just had some new laws passed that are even more helpful for us to make sure we never are mandated to a vaccination.
Yeah.
And
they
as
did?
adults, they made several more laws that protect us here.
Okay.
And you have other states taking away more laws and making no exemptions and making laws that are stricter, like saying you have to do it or more consequences.
And it comes back to this, like, no kings business, immigration.
Yeah, that side is saying no kings.
These, like, blanket statements of, you know, like, I'm pro-immigration, which is like, have you stopped beating your wife yet?
It is like
right?
that.
It's that same.
There's no right answer.
There's no right answer to it. It's very much ignoring some human trafficking. And I've been a teacher of newcomers for 10 years. I've worked with students at the school
children
district
who came over and have had who knows what happened with them.
I have had kids in my classroom who've been who've been transported up here by pimps from Honduras. I'm talking 8th graders, 7th and 8th graders. I have had 2 students whose fathers were murdered in Mexico on the way over here. I've had students who were raped in Mexico on the way over here. So the journey here, and the fact that the open border is just like a death wish to so many people. And if we really care about humanity, if we really care, but like you said, there's so many other reasons why people are being brought over.
It's not immigration, yes or no.
It's not. It's not, because
what's your consciousness and what's actually,
what are we really doing?
What are we really doing?
What's really underneath everything? And we're not allowed to ask those questions. What's really underneath vaccination? What's really underneath, the shutdowns? What's really underneath all of this? And it is an usurpation.
Yeah, good one. Well done.
Of sovereign beings.
It
across
really
the
is.
board.
It really
because
is.
You're bringing in slaves is what you're doing.
You really are. And you're going to take an injection in your arm, and we're not going to tell you what it is, but we're going to tell you have to have it.
Yeah.
Guess what? You just got the name and address of every compliant person in the United States of America. Yeah. South by Southwest, I was set to speak there on 2020 and do several different events for South by. And 2020, it blew up and it got canceled. And I later was going to do something with them a couple years later, and then when they still had restrictions that people couldn't enter without being tested. And I said, pull my name off that docket. I'm not going to be any part of anything that excludes people. But the reason I'm saying this is because South by Southwest was such I went to that when it was little. It was the bands and everything, it was so rad, and from the very beginning. It was born as a independent artist festival where where labels would go, right, and you would go try out in front of them with your garage band. And with your coolest ass shit you come up with as like a teenager or something or whatever, and you go be seen. And now it's so funny because I live real close to where it happens and I see it every year. And I'm like, now It's just a fishbowl of compliant little fishes.
Yeah.
Because if you're not compliant, you don't go. And so now, what's creative about that?
Nothing.
What's artistic about that?
Yeah.
What's sexy? What's wild? What's free? Nothing. It's a little, to me, it's just this gross little goldfish bowl of compliant little punk rockers. Like, you guys, I'm sorry, but you don't understand punk.
They don't. And they don't because they have not. They're just moving
They're compliant.
through.
They didn't have you as a mother.
They didn't have me as a mother.
That's the bottom line. So what's the solution to all this now? Okay, Bluebird. No pressure.
No pressure. The problem in raising sovereign kids is that they're sovereign and it is easier to rule people who are not as a king who are not sovereign.
It looks easier.
It looks a lot easier, but it winds up being long term. We're really damaging our society. And we're poisoning. It's a poison because
it is a poison.
Making everything is becoming the same thing, like from just our food, the farm, every single market has been touched by it.
Poison.
By making every single thing like homogenous.
Yeah.
Right?
And harmful.
And so that it's supposed to be, this is like this social responsibility, assumes that everybody in society has the same needs.
It sure does.
Right?
And desires.
And that it's the idea of the virtue signal of saying, and that has what has been brought forward so much, and we're so afraid of not being virtuous. And again, to step into your sovereignty on some level is to step out of virtue.
Quote unquote virtue.
Quote unquote virtue.
By everyone else's definition, yes, you have to step aside.
Step into integrity, personal integrity. And it's like what you said, conscious. It's all about how you wield your sovereignty and knowing that your choices, I think we get afraid that our choices make no difference.
Yes.
Like it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Well, what's it going to matter if I wear a mask or if I don't? Like
People
my
talk
one
like
little
that.
Thing isn't going to make that big a deal, and I'm not going to change the whole system. So they really are just hitting us from it's like they know, of course they know, all of the everything that's common to man, all the weaknesses that are common to humans, and they just tick, 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 tick. And to become a sovereign individual who is willing to go through the personal anarchy that it's going to take to get there, who's willing to be in the discomfort. And I think that so much of what your work is around is the discomfort. And when we make our peace with discomfort, and just because someone is angry doesn't mean you've done something wrong, right?
Yep.
Just because a system is disrupted doesn't mean that you have not done something right.
Yep. Doesn't mean you made a mistake.
And we also don't need to feel responsible to overturn entire. It's my system. Like I am. All I have is this one little life. I'm here. Does my act of sovereignty have a domino effect? It will, to some degree, because we're all connected.
We are. We
right?
are.
That's a lot to hold.
I know.
That is a lot to hold for most people, and we want to be socially responsible.
Of course, which
I
think, like I said, I think in my deepest levels, I am. I just am. I just am. Like, of course.
And when you are met with accusation of being a danger to society, what do you do with that?
Yeah, I love that. It's just that moment. To me, it's like there's the same moment I step into.
Oh.
Whether it's my partner, and I'm about to say something, or whether it's a career move or something I want to say out public or something I want to teach about that's crazy. Like I've been talking about how empathy is stupid. Like,
oh my God, I have a whole writing about that.
I'm getting a lot of pushback. But it's that same moment.
It's such a slippery slope.
Same, or whether I want to go out dressed like this. Because I go out dressed kind of crazy, and I have those moments. It's like, I think I'd make my neighbors, maybe even my partner, more comfortable if I did this and that with my clothing right now.
Yeah.
And it's that same moment, whether it's all those different things, it's that same moment of me going, I'm glad you asked this, because this is what I do. I go, you know what? You're an eternal soul.
Yeah.
You may spend what amounts to millions of years contemplating this choice.
Wow. What
are you going to do to your soul right now?
Yeah.
And I go and I walk out of the house dressed how I want to.
It's a small anarchy,
insane.
But it's really powerful.
It's powerful anarchy. It may seem small today because maybe no one even saw me, or it may seem small. Maybe I just went around the block, no one saw me. But you know what I just did? I took a huge step for my eternal soul.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Exactly.
And the whole cosmos reacted.
And you align yourself with abundance for what is right for you.
Yeah,
right?
Thank you. It
and
is
you're
abundant.
gonna call in the one neighbor you didn't even know exists, who's like, look at the way she's dressed.
Tell
Oh my God,
that's
I'm gonna
my
go
girl.
meet her.
That's my girl.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
I open myself up for someone who actually loves me, just like I am, exactly like I am,
and who's been waiting for
someone
to connect. Right.
Yeah.
And
it actually moves the universe.
It does.
And I like to say sometimes I'm the open door that no one can shut.
Yes.
So, and I may be one tiny little mouse door, but no one can shut it.
No one can shut it.
There's a lot of stuff flowing through. So what about you? What do you do? What is your words of wisdom for the audience? I think we could talk for a very long time. We may have to come back and several times
I would like
together.
to think about how sovereign am I willing to become? Where are the areas in my life where I want to challenge my own comfort and decide, okay, am I happy in this? Is this authentic contentment? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or is this a space that should be challenged? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes.
And constantly pressing into this with this, because I live in a family setting and you live in partner, so you always have a person who's going to be like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I do.
I don't live in a cabin in the woods.
Right? By yourself.
By myself. There is and my 13-year-old daughter is that, like, why are you're like a weird Amish girl. Because, like, for me, I'm like.
She's saying that to you?
Yeah, she's saying it to me. Like, why aren't you like all the other moms?
Yeah.
And her definition of the other moms is the Stanley Cup and the baseball cap with the cross, rhinestone cross, and the T-shirt that says, I'm in my mom era. And, why aren't you like that? And I'm thinking, do you want me to be like that?
Yeah.
Do you? And where my sovereignty makes somebody else uncomfortable, and where their sovereignty is making me uncomfortable, is a real space also of my own growth, right? And so I've recently been in a relationship with a man who's incredibly sovereign, so sovereign that we can't be in a relationship, right? And the very thing that I loved so much about him is the very thing that makes it impossible to be in this person's sovereignty.
I relate with that so much.
Is like, wow, could you just be a little less sovereign for like 5 minutes so we can connect? Like I want to pin him down and connect, and he just
while you admire his sovereignty, while that attracts you anyway.
Yeah, and where does it? Is there such a thing as toxic, sovereignty?
Right.
Is that a thing?
I'm guessing if you find your sovereignty and then you're a really mean person.
Okay. But just enforcing your sovereignty. Like, I think we love to present this, especially in the conscious community, the toxic independence.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that the phrasing that we're calling it?
Yeah, I've heard that.
And
Yes, I've heard that. Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm like, okay, well, where does community and unity and conscious community and sovereignty meet in this relationship of the overarching community of individuals who are seeking higher conscious states of consciousness?
Yeah.
Right? And I have been accused of being toxically independent. I don't know if that's the right languaging, but you know what I mean. Because I don't seek relationship, really,
It's interesting though, but I also know that you live in very tight relationships with these young ones, with the man you mentioned.
Yeah.
You have that. Maybe someone's saying you don't seek the way other people seek it.
Well, I don't seek to engage in community in the broader sense. Like, I love to host events. I don't want to attend one. Like, I am not going to go out to, it's a rare occasion. Probably your class and the things that you've done is the most I've been involved in anything, There's a lot of opportunities to connect with the conscious community in very large capacities.
Yeah.
And I don't have any interest in doing that at all.
Yeah.
I seek solitude. Even within my own house, I give my kids so much freedom. Maybe I'm giving it to them because I just want my own sovereignty. But, I live in a very small space with a lot of young people. 9 times out of 10, I have no idea where anybody is. The only person I keep track of is my 13-year-old
Yeah, because you're
daughter.
not literally tracking. Like,
I'm not keeping track of anybody.
Yeah.
And they're all doing their thing. And so we're extremely close. And as far as everybody can talk to everybody and everybody is around, but I'm not keeping track of anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing a lot of things that micromanaging, like I'm not cooking dinner every single, I'm not like, momming it up big time. I wonder if there is a space where we can become too ungovernable so that we isolate ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For me, it's just going to keep going back to the stillness and the quiet place. And I've also had a history of isolating, for sure. And I still do have that in me. I like to a big, I like being alone a lot. And in the beginning for me, it was more of a wall and a lead wall.
Oh,
and
okay.
it was
I
less
see that.
healthy.
Okay.
Right? So I didn't know at the time, but looking back, I was just setting walls up to keep people away from me. Whereas now I feel like I've got this filter that I'm choosing, and in my solitude and stillness, I sometimes have emerged from me a deep desire to connect with someone else. And that's how my partner and I are exploring sovereign connection, sovereignty and connection. Because I want to connect with you when it's welling up as a desire from inside, and then I want to connect with you. And that's my sovereignty, reaching toward your sovereignty, saying, would you like to connect right now? Yeah. Instead of we promised we'd connect every Tuesday. Yeah. And it's time.
Now it's obligated.
And I don't feel like it, but I guess I'll go do it.
Yeah.
So we have a theory that from real sovereignty comes a more real connection. Because when I get quiet, I actually don't want to live all by myself forever.
Yeah.
So that's not true. That's not my sovereignty.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So that's the difference between independence. Yeah, it's not aloneness.
Yeah.
It's
because in my sovereignty, I have a deep desire. Maybe I have a desire to go to a big group gathering. and I'll go. I don't go also to a bunch of them. And for part of it, it's a phase of life. I feel like I was in a phase at a different time where I was going to everything.
Yeah. Here's a question for you that I've been thinking about a lot recently, and it's in desire and in acting out desire. And I know that in a lot of Eastern thought, desire is sort of the source of suffering. And I feel like, I don't think I agree with that. I did think that it's not the desire that's the source of suffering. It's the expectation that we connect, the gap between desire and the fulfilled whatever expectation, perhaps. But I think that our being in our true will, being in our sovereign choice is the same as being in our desire.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I see that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
As I'm in my desire. And if I can maintain it's like sort of like staying in a constant pre-orgasmic state, sort of maybe like an ecstatic state of orgasm or right there or right on,
It is an
not on the
ecstatic
other
state.
side of it where it's over, but we're just staying here
We
in
didn't
this
release it
space
yet. Yeah.
of sovereignty and desire and maintain, and there is no suffering in that. And that the idea that we need to detach, I'm finding conflicts. I'm not sure where exactly how to articulate these conflicts, but I'm seeing that I might in some way disagree, or I think maybe we're off on desire leads to suffering and detachment theory, to be detached from everything, and that in this space that we are free.
Yeah.
And I think
good point.
There's something about authentic sovereignty and desire that is actually very connected, not detached, and separate from suffering. And that in this space of being in our authentic sovereign choice, and switching our brain so that we're not like, oh, this makes me sad to choose this, because sometimes it does, because sometimes stepping into our sovereignty hits comfort levels or pushes it back, right? And makes us uncomfortable. But we switch our wiring a little bit so that we're like, wow, I'm so happy that I'm doing what I want to do and not what, this other person wants me to do. And we tap into the pleasure of acting on our sovereign will and doing what's right for us. And allowing desire and pleasure to arise in that space. And then there's no suffering in it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. You see what I'm trying to say?
Totally. I guess Christianity has a desire, anti-desire thing. I think Judaism does. I'm learning more about that. I know that Buddhism has it. And they talk bad about desire. Yeah. And I've talked to Buddhists and I've explored a lot and I think my current theory is that, and several people have said this, it seems like what I was describing earlier about if I'm in an activated state and my nervous system is not relaxed, then my desire might be a gallon of ice cream right now, all of it, or heroin, for a month or something. So to me, it's where are you tapping into your desire? Are you tapping in from an activated nervous system and you're just having these kind of, what would they be called? Like wild, it's not even you. It's
like a reactive, like a reaction formation. Is what she refers to it as in the existential kingdom.
Okay, there you go.
So a reaction formation where you're just like the habitual way you react to these stimuli, whatever they
which are. Is, I want this, and I'm going to watch Netflix, and I need to do this every day, and it's nervous behavior. Yeah. And I think that, and then of course there's like the carnal lust, which I think negative sexual desire comes from an activated nervous system that's not relaxed.
Oh wow, that's a really good point.
I think so, and because
you're really hungering for something
people,
beyond.
It's they're jittery and they're just jumping on the porn, and they gotta calm their body, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But when I just feel like once you go down again into that stillness and get into that deeper place, that's a whole different level of desire. That's my authenticity. That's my higher self. That's my soul speaking. And it loves
and
connecting.
it's what aligns you with abundance. So as soon as I put up
you keep saying that.
this boundary, like person wants you to do this, or you have a different desire, you know that your desire is not in alignment with theirs, you're going to step into your desire. It's going to create some sort of a conflict over here. But if you are able to just hold that without judgment, a lot of times they'll calm down and the truth rises to the surface, or the true, like everything's going to, and it's always okay. It's a rare occasion where it's not going to be okay.
If you
ultimately
are in a relaxed place and you can hold the charge of it and not react and start calling each other names.
Exactly.
It's if you can respect the sovereignty.
You respect it, and then the more you're like really rooted. When we're rooted in our sovereignty, when we're rooted in our will, when we're rooted in our desire, we are aligned for what's right, for the abundance that's available to us, right? So more so, like I might be able to get 3 pieces of abundance by doing what they want, but when I'm going to align myself fully to what I don't even know what I don't have. Right?
What's an example of this in your life? Have you had anything recently where you recognized, oh, this is what's happening right now for me?
Yes, and I've had a big example of that. So been married for 26 years would be my wedding anniversary, and we chose to end our marriage through a conscious uncoupling. I think one of my biggest fears was, okay, we've got all of these people, we have this amount of overhead, right? That requires 2 incomes to meet.
Yeah.
Huge amount of overhead, right? And I'm thinking, there's no way I'm going to be able to, like us being 2 completely separate households on our currents, and me take all the kids with me because I'm taking 4 of them and make it.
And it seemed like an insolvable puzzle.
Unsolvable.
It seemed like so finite.
Yeah.
Like there's no options here.
None.
There's just this much money. We need 2 houses. It wouldn't cover it.
Yeah.
Some people would have stopped there. What did you do?
I somehow or another have managed to now have half the income and half the bills. I have no idea what happened. How it's even possible.
You totally followed your authenticity through a process there.
Yeah, and what I see is that I'm living well within my means, and I own my house, and I have, even to the point of having a little excess, and wondering, how does that even possible? Because this is abundance math, right?
So how does your sovereignty connect to this abundance? How did that connect?
When we do, you could say it like when you do what's right. What's right happens. Things
right for your soul.
What's right for your soul, for all
not what's
people.
Right by everybody else telling you shit.
And it was a real effort to end this dynamic very consciously, so that nobody is being, kicked out in violence. It was a very much we'll take as much time as we need to take to make sure that everybody is in the best situation that they can. So it's just doing the next right thing and being in this state of not seeing really clearly where you're going, but really saying, okay, I just want what is authentically right for all of us at this point going forward. There's a lot of ways to end a long-term relationship. It does not have to be dramatic
and violent, mean, and angry.
It does not. No matter how dramatic the relationship has been.
Right.
You do not have to. You're choosing violence, and you can choose. And we chose to take our time to do things and allow allow things to kind of unfold. And I think by letting go of prescribed outcomes and setting forth a clear desire, like the desire is stability.
And two households.
Are
both stable.
Fully stable within our own finances. We also chose to have zero government intervention in our divorce.
Yes.
So we put not applicable on all of the things, and the court allowed us, which was very surprising
and awesome.
But you don't have anything to lose. You always should just step out with your desire and see what happens. And what I have found is that I got everything that I wanted, not quote unquote from my divorce, but not via a court issuing it.
The court did nothing.
But
related to this.
Said y'all are free to go.
That you wanted them to sign at the end.
Yeah.
That's it.
That is it.
No lawyer did anything.
And
you guys navigated that from a place of sovereignty.
Yes, and we told that to the court. We are sovereign. We will handle the dissolution of this, all of our property
divisions.
All of that. I also let go of everything. So I decided I wasn't going to fight for objects at all.
So you made a sovereign choice. I am not going to fight over objects.
I will not fight over objects.
Beautiful.
Take whatever you need, you feel you need from this house. I'll take what I feel that I need. Obvious things that are mine are inherited things. Obvious things that are yours are inherited things. But we've been together for 27 years and everything in this house.
No one fought over a blender.
Yeah, nobody's fighting over a blender or, kids.
Even that, the court did not make you put all that into detail in the order, and no one's fighting over the kids.
Because they're sovereign. Because we let the kids...
Unbelievably beautiful.
You are sovereign. You can choose. If you want to live with me, live with me. If you want to live with your father, live with your father. If you want to be with him I don't care how you do it.
That's unbelievable.
Go do your thing. Now, granted, I am not with a dangerous human who I'm trying to protect people from. So
maybe some people this wouldn't work for. And you've done a lot with a complicated situation.
Yeah.
So I don't want the listeners to think you've had an super easy ride with no complications in here. There have been complications.
Yeah.
And it still was able to be resolved like this.
Because when we align to authentic desire and we step into our authentic will, we align ourselves. That's where this is surface level sovereignty, but now you're stepping into this universal law sovereignty, vertical, and that is where the ending abundance of the universe is available for you, because you're not being hit with other people's I don't want that, right?
What keeps us poor is our mental boxes.
It's our mental boxes and surrendering to other people's dreams. And so we are now, when I surrender to this person's will, then I'm only as available to abundance as they are.
That's right. And you are just relegating yourself
to whatever,
to their ideas.
They maybe have great ideas and maybe they're getting rich and I work for them and I'm getting the benefit of that. But that's not generally how it works.
Right.
And by submitting to another human's will, subconsciously or consciously, you are surrendering to whatever connection they have.
Their limitations.
Their limitations. And you are subject to their limitations. And you are... you are diminishing your access to abundance and all other things that the universe, your own gifts, magic, everything,
your highest gifts,
everything. So
your soul's mission,
the sort of the threshold that we have to cross in order to get to this access to this infinite abundance is the discomfort that it takes us to step into our own sovereignty.
Yeah.
And it's like this
Yes.
little test.
Yes, it
you
is
know?
a test. It
Do
is.
you want it? You don't have to have it.
That's
you can
right.
live comfortably
Yeah,
over
just
here
go watch
forever.
TV.
You know people who've done it.
Yep.
I've known people who do
Yep.
it all the time. But if you want access to more abundance,
Yeah.
you want access to more freedom across the board in your life, you cannot get there without confronting the discomfort of anarchy.
It's so,
Right?
so perfectly said.
Soulful anarchy.
Soulful
Stepping into
anarchy and sovereignty.
a system and breaking down your own, why am I unwilling to do this? What am I, because no one's keeping you from doing anything. Nobody is keeping you down. Okay?
Yeah.
Period.
So
Bottom line.
true.
You have surrendered and submitted for reasons. You know, that's Women's Day. I've got all these kids. It's going to be too much, to this, to that, whatever. We all make our choices, right?
Yeah.
And there is no shame. Like, we choose things based on survival. It's okay. You do what you think you have to do in that moment.
Yeah.
But at some point, you have to stop worrying about surviving.
I think that's it.
Right?
We talked about the fear of
Yeah.
death. You know, I think
Yeah.
so. And it's just so, to me, it's like, it's been so scary. And I have wondered if I'd survived before.
Yeah,
And it's been so exhilarating.
it is.
And I love what you said too about how I've never seen the whole path when I'm in a meditative or I'm
Yeah.
asking for answers or I'm seeking the next step. But I've always seen the next step.
Yeah.
That's what I heard you saying on this path
Yeah.
of dissolution of the relationship. That it took a while, and you never knew exactly which house am I going to end up with,
Yeah.
and none of that was given, but you knew the next thing. And that's where the scary and the courage and the discomfort is.
Yeah.
I'm going on this stepping stone path, but I only see one stone next. But I'm still going to go out there on it.
Yeah.
I'm going to stand on it until I see the next one, because I don't see the whole thing. That's how it is for me. I
Yeah.
don't see the whole thing. And so
And that's
people
where the
have called that
courage
like
is,
reckless, because
No,
like it's
yeah.
that's reckless because you don't see the end result. Like maybe it's living really sovereign
It really is. And
and
maybe
in trusting the divine and trusting my higher self and soul to get me through in every present moment, and knowing that I'm held by something so much bigger than your rent requirement.
I know, right? I think we get real, and it's a real threat.
I know they're real.
But
I'm
you
living in
have
the world.
to know, like I tell my kids, you know, sometimes I'm like, you know, we're not poor. We just don't have any money. Okay? Like,
That's the truth.
We're never going to be poor.
That's the truth.
You are not poor.
You guys are wealthy.
Okay? You might not have any money, but you're not poor.
Yeah.
And you're never going to be
Poor. Never.
poor.
Not
ever.
yours.
You've
not
got
yours.
too much wits. You got too
Yeah.
much grit. You got too much hustle.
Yep.
You're not going to
That's
be
right.
poor.
That's
okay?
right.
And so
They're not in poverty consciousness.
We are not.
So you're not going to
And
have
it is
them-
a
they're not-
consciousness.
It is. And that they're not
One-
ever going to be in it.
and the power, the government loves a poverty consciousness. It just does. And, you know, and I was even thinking, I was talking to someone the other day, and she was like lamenting the billionaires and how they spend their money. And that, she's like, well, if I get, you know, this amount of money, then I'm going to, of course, do something for humanity. And then I'm going to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why do you got to do something? And, okay, I recognize we do things for humanity, but why do you have to do something for humanity?
It's like Miss America
Can
pageant.
we challenge this? Yeah. Why do I have to? And it comes back to this empathy thing, and where empathy is it's weaponized and against us.
Yeah.
And
It's the greater good.
It's the greater good. It's the social responsibility. It is the highest virtue. You know, the empaths are, you know, all of these great things, but it is the empath who is the greatest manipulators in the world are empaths who can read you like a book and then con the socks off of you, right? So empathy is not necessarily yes, we want to have empathy, but it is not the end all be all. And it is something that's actually, I think that sometimes you got to have people who are just like, fucking get in there and get shit done, who are not, because we get so caught up in emotion, other people's emotions.
Yeah.
And that's what the problem is. And if I'm here reading your emotions as an empath, I am violating your boundaries.
Yeah,
right?
It goes so far on the empath thing. I'm not into empathy. I'm not a fan. I don't think it's healthy. And I think it's really destructive. But I think we better wrap up this conversation because we could be here. I knew it. And I think I think we'll have a few.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to have a few conversations.
Yeah.
Because you have so many rich areas to talk about.
Yeah.
But for today, my darling Bluebird, thank you so much for having this conversation.
Welcome.
I think it's awesome how sovereign you live and the way you live and have lived and raised those precious. You don't raise precious children by accident. Sometimes I'm walking around and I see this body that is like really pumped up and worked out. And I really admire very beautiful athletic bodies, but not steroids, but just like, oh, wow, that's actually, and sometimes I think, wow, you can't fake that. You can't Botox that.
No.
That is from doing the work, basically. And when I see your children and be with them, there's nothing you can fake about you with those children. They're a couple of decades of very hardcore artwork that is just glistening and you can't fake that you raised your kids with sovereignty. If they don't have it, they don't have it.
Yeah.
And when you had the boy in, motorcycle wreck and no problem, mom.
Yeah.
And, on and on.
Yeah.
I mean, you are such an artist. So where can people find you in the world, Bluebird, who want to stay in touch with you or hear more from you? I know you work with people one-on-one as well. So
I do. If anyone is interested in working around, like raising kids, it's something that's a real deep passion of mine to be sovereign. Parents, one other thing as far as like working through with another parent would be as your kids grow older and become more and more conscious, they are going to turn on you and tell you that you're the source of all their trauma, and how to process that and how to walk through that with them, how to heal your own shadow and to allow them to be present whenever they come at us with, all the things that the kids, we all are like, are my parents, my mother.
You have to have that phase.
So I would love to support parents.
That's so valuable.
And teaching their kids consent, all around the wheel of consent, all around sovereignty.
You're an expert in that.
How to, kind of process from birth to young adulthood, all of the areas from educational sovereignty to birth sovereignty to teenagers, toddlers, all the different phases within that. If anyone would like, to meet one-on-one and kind of troubleshoot those areas that get really sticky, especially parenting young adults from 13 to, the time that they're surviving out on their own in the wild, whatever that is. I would love to process people. So you can reach me.
Yeah, I think you're pretty much the authority I know of in this area.
homespunwisdomtx.com. I mean, not .com, Gmail. So it's just an email. I currently am not on, kind of wanting to not be that much of a presence on the internet.
Okay. And
so I don't have a website.
Let's say that again. homespunwisdomtx@gmail.com.
Okay. And message me there, and then we can connect. Okay. Or I'm on Facebook, Stacey Bluebird Collins on Facebook, and you can DM me.
We'll put the links here.
And then also, I do have a business in Bastrop called Cottage and Crow on Main Street. We're an apothecary natural medicine and gift shop. And so I'm there quite a bit. And through that, we teach, lots of different classes and things like that. So women's groups, Radiant Women's Collective, and different opportunities.
Are you still teaching different kind of crafting at that
we
shop?
We do all kinds of things around just crafts and not crafts, but cottage industry specifically. So old world skills. So we'll be talking a lot about natural medicine, specifically a lot of freedom and sovereignty within the medical field and around our health. Is the business is a storefront that steps into that space.
And it's a huge resource.
It is.
And I haven't consulted a Western medical physician for advice in my adult life. And I'm 56.
Yeah.
And so the stores like yours, Cottage and Crow on Main Street in Bastrop, Cottage and Crow, those stores are the solid gold for people like me who believe in natural health. We have to have those community centers. And it's where we can get information, share information, learn.
Connect to consultants and other people who are doing natural medicine.
All of that.
And really breaking free, a lot of detoxing, a lot of cleansing from the toxic systems. And
we have so much. We could do a show about just detoxing.
Oh my God, we could do a whole show about breaking free of just the need for an expert.
Yeah.
In general.
We could just do that in the medical area, and we have so many shows we could do.
I would love to, again, like that conversation around how to empower parents and women to take back their sovereignty in their parenting and in their relationships, really.
Bluebird, thank you so much for your gift of time today.
I love it. It's been so much fun.
So much.
I love you too.
Here we go. I am on earth to support those who are called to bring maximum love and light into their lives, liberating self-expression in all realms, where all is sacred, connecting with you to create a cosmic web of love and light throughout the realms. And I want to hear from you. Leave a comment or shoot me an email by visiting my site at riverroaring.com and clicking Get Started to share your question, reflection, or insight. Together, we can step into a more harmonious vibration. We can fly higher, shifting human consciousness forever for the highest good of all beings. May the love be with you. May the love be with us all.